What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. We have Media Create results for sales in Japan that show us how Kirby did over there and did pretty well, it turns out. And then we also find out that Modern Warfare 2 Remaster that popped up on Amazon appears to have some more backing about being real, and the one thing that's weird is it appears to be missing its most popular mode. And finally, we did get a release date for Ys 8 on the Nintendo Switch. A lot of stuff to get into, guys, so let's get started. So Media Creates, we talk about it quite a bit because it gives us a look in Japan as to how things do when they launch, when they release, and kind of how the system curve is going for how systems are selling, whether it's the Switch, the PS4. Generally, those are the two systems that really sell over there. The Xbox is almost non-existent. Either way, here are the top 10 games that took place last week. This does include the Kirby launch. At the top, Kirby Star Allies, 222,031. Of course, this is on Nintendo Switch, topping the charts. Splatoon 2 actually below that, which is interesting that took the number 2 spot, 30,471. We have two different versions of Attack on Titan 2. One for the PS4 at number 3, 28,480, and then the one on the Switch right below it, 22,941. Note that difference there in sales, because we're going to come back to that a little later on. Like the North Star at number 5, Monster Hunter World actually dropped all the way down to number 6 from the number 2 spot. So some of these debuts kind of pushed Monster Hunter World down a bit there. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at number 7. Attack on Titan 2 on the Vita actually number 8. So the Vita did break into the top 10. Very cool to see. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 9. And then Mario Odyssey rounds out the top 10. Jumping over to hardware, shows the Nintendo Switch at the top, 54,342, about 9,000 or so up from last week. That does appear to be from Kirby, probably helping push those systems along. The PlayStation 4, 22,627. That's actually down about 6,000 from the previous week. The 3DS, 9,148. The Vita, 3,644. And the Xbox One, 154 units. So it looks like Kirby did pretty well. Some of the other Kirby games did well. It did more than this, but only by about 10,000 or so units. This is a pretty good launch for Kirby in Japan. We already heard about how well it did in the UK, being the biggest Kirby launch in the UK ever, even compared to any of the 19 previous titles that they had recorded. In this case, though, in Japan, yes, Kirby did well enough, 222,000, and that just seems to show just how powerful the Switch is with Nintendo's IPs in Japan. Not really surprising, I don't think. I talked about how I'd be expecting Kirby to sell north of 200,000 units on Media Create sales charts, and it did just that. So it comes in expectations for myself and I think others as well. Splatoon 2 actually making a pretty big splash there at number 2. That is pretty cool as well. Attack on Titan 2, I said we'd come back to this because the PS4 has a larger install base in Japan by quite a bit over the Switch still. Of course, the Switch still young. We could see it pass it in the next year and a half or so, but still, the PlayStation 4 has a relatively large install base, but Attack on Titan 2 only sold about 6,000 more than the Switch, and then even the Vita still ranked in there in the top 10. So it does appear that Japan likes the Switch even with third-party games, probably because of that portability. So you will eventually see the Switch probably become the system in Japan over the next year and a half. It might be sooner than that with third-party games that launch on both. That's kind of how you really see how the audience in that part of the world really likes the game or which system you're using based on attach rate. The attach rate for the Switch version, yes, was more. So there you go. The Switch more than likely will become the system in Japan, probably in the next year and a half or so. It might even be less than that with how these attach rates are going. One other thing to note here, the Switch is closing in on 4 million units in Japan, which would put it about 2.5 million units behind the PS4. 4 million units for the Switch in a little over a year in Japan alone is a pretty big milestone to pass. That's what I was saying about the Switch becoming the system in Japan in the next year and a half or so. More than likely, it will pass the PS4 in the next year and a half to 2 years in Japan alone, and that's kind of where it will take off. I could see 3DS numbers here, like I've said before, where the 3DS is at 23 million units right now. That is a distinct possibility for the Switch, depending on its lifespan, of course. I do see the Switch being over 10 million units in the next 3 years or so. So yeah, I could see that at three years total lifetime. So I could see that happening where it does get over 20 million. We just have to see how long Nintendo does support the system before they move on, or if this really is just a brand with the Switch, and they do have these revisions coming up every couple years. Next up, let's talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. we saw this pop up on Amazon. Do you remember this a couple days ago? We talked about it, where Modern Warfare 2 Remastered popped up on Amazon. It appeared to be for the Xbox One and the PS4. Something that was a little weird because that seems to be an easy port to pretty much the Switch as well. But we mostly saw it pop up there. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not coming to Switch, just means we've only seen SKUs for those two systems. Well, got a little more information from Charlie Intel, a website called Charlie Intel, and then Eurogamer. Eurogamer actually backed this claim, saying this is happening. Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is in the works. It is confirmed. And the one thing that's very weird is it's not going to have the multiplayer. It's going to be a single-player, campaign-only game. Now, Eurogamer also said that this is what their sources are saying as well, is that there is a Modern Warfare 2 Remaster coming at some point. Amazon, a little while ago, did list an April 30th date, so we'll see if that ends up being the correct date. But so far, the rumors from both Charlie Intel and Eurogamer say that it is happening, and there does not appear to be a multiplayer mode for online play added. There could be like the offline, maybe multiplayer co-op that they had in the original one, or maybe this really is just a campaign-only game. It's very weird. Now, Charlie Intel also said that Raven Software is not actually porting this thing, and they go on to speculate that it could be Beenox who could be porting this thing. And we heard a while ago that Beenox was doing something with Call of Duty and the Switch, so there you go, that could be what ties it together. But the whole thing about Modern Warfare 2 showing up with no multiplayer is very weird, considering I'd say about 70% of people that buy Call of Duty now just skip the single player right away and jump right into multiplayer because they're two separate modes. Now, of course, the listed retail price that we saw on Amazon was $19.99, and yeah, a full single player campaign that's just that would kind of warrant that price tag. They might try to get more if it has multiplayer as well, but it wouldn't really feel like a Call of Duty game without that multiplayer. And honestly, if people wanted it remastered, they'd probably want the multiplayer over the single player. Now, there is a possibility that it could interfere with what they're currently doing with WW2 and then, of course, Black Ops 4 when that comes out in October. But still, I mean, they'd just be interfering with themselves, and if it does come out at the end of April, that's plenty of time for people to play and really, honestly, probably get tired of it before Black Ops 4 comes out. The whole thing just seems weird, but if that's what we're going with, I guess some people might just want to relive the campaign with it fully remastered on newer systems, maybe on the go with the Switch, but it just seems like a very weird thing to do, not include that multiplayer, because that's probably what everyone wants it for. Honestly, you could probably just sell the multiplayer for $20, not even bother remastering the campaign, just release it multiplayer only, and people would buy right into it. Next up, let's talk about the Spyro Collection, what appears to be one of the worst kept secrets in gaming, next to, I guess, Crash Bandicoot Collection, the Insane Trilogy, going to other systems as a timed exclusive for the PlayStation 4, and then it was released, or at least it has been announced to be released for other systems. The Spyro Collection is, it's not been a well-kept secret, and, well, people just want to keep seeing if it is coming, when it's coming, so what do? Well, apparently you asked Target on Twitter about it to really corroborate its, in this case, possible release soon, or at least its existence, and someone did just that, and Target replied with, well, this. We're all fired up for the Spyro Treasure Trilogy game as well. We don't currently have any information about when this game will be available for pre-order. However, we'd encourage you to continue checking back for availability. Thanks for reaching out. So there you go. Target, for some reason, decided to tell people that, yeah, we can't wait. And then later on, they went in a tweet to, I guess, try to spell rumors further, to, oh, we didn't mean to tweet that. They're saying, oh, we're looking forward to it. We're pretty sure it's coming sometime in 2018. Yeah, more than likely, what happened in retail, we would receive like order sheets, because we'd have to order like 3-4 months ahead of time, and they would tell us about these games that are coming out ahead of time before they're even released or made public, and then you have to usually sign some kind of confidentiality agreement. Not always, though. Sometimes they would just tell us about them without us having to give our word. They wouldn't go around telling people. So more than likely, Target has seen this list. Other retailers have seen this list. Yeah, if Spyro is getting announced soon, and then we assume it's coming out in September, they would have to at least have known about it by now and start to figure out what their pre-order numbers will be and how many they'll need to launch, if it's like a midnight release, or if they just need to start getting a head count, trying to decide how many they want to put in their stores. So more than likely, the bigger chains already know about its existence, and honestly, I'm surprised they haven't announced it yet, because it seems like everyone already knows about it anyway, and yeah, it is coming at some point. Next up, let's talk about Ys 8 on the Nintendo Switch, because it finally got a release date. We know it was coming at some point this year. We kept hearing about summer, over and over again, right? Well, they released a trailer yesterday on Nintendo's YouTube channel showing a release date of June 26th of this year. So in a couple months, you'll be able to pick it up. This game, of course, has received great reviews on the PS4 and the Vita. They redid the entirety of like the localization, translation, the script, everything, because they didn't like how it came out originally. There was a patch that came out for the PS4 and the Vita, and that went through pretty well. People were saying it is much better now. The PC version is the one that's kind of left out in the cold right now. We're still wondering what's going on with that and when it will come out. But at least for now, you know, it is coming to the Nintendo Switch June 26th, so in about 3 months you'll be able to pick it up. It's exciting. Look forward to any really cool physical editions they do, because this game is the one you want to get a collector's edition for. Great RPG. Look forward to it. You technically don't have to play any of the other Ys games to jump in, so don't worry about that. Just jump in, have some fun with it. Great RPG, and we're looking forward to it at the end of June. Next up, we have more news out of GDC, and that has to do with Travis Strikes Again, the No More Heroes game that was announced and shown off initially last year at the original Indies event that they did. Remember, that was like they closed out the show, and then they kind of talked about how it would collaborate with other indie developers and other characters. Remember, Suda51 had like the Shovel Knight shirt underneath his original shirt at the Nindies at Night event. And we saw footage of the game in action. Now, you're going to see some of the footage here. This is courtesy of DualShockers. They received this footage, they shot it while they were there, and what they were saying, they actually were playing with Suda51 himself, which is pretty cool, and they ran through this. Now, this seems to have people divided on either side. Some people think it looks great, others are confused as to what this game really is, because it's kind of a weird camera angle, it's zoomed out, it looks like a beat-em-up style game, but apparently still has really the quirks and stuff, like recharging your blade kind of in that suggestive motion controlled manner, and it looks fun, right? And they've said it's a spin-off. It's not like the next No More Heroes. This is kind of I guess a lower budget spin-off title that they wanted to do in collaboration with other indie developers. And it does look like it's 60 frames per second. It was very fast looking. So if you're a fan of the series, I think you're going to enjoy it. Just don't expect it to be the next big No More Heroes game, and I think you'll be fine. I'm just looking to see what kind of cameos they have indie games make, and it looks like the gameplay will change as you go to different worlds. So that's exciting to see how they change the different game mechanics, and we'll just look forward to it. It's coming sometime this year. And in our last bit of news, let's quickly talk about Sea of Thieves, because it's turned into a bit of a success story early on. Now, the head programmer, developer, and executive over there did share some numbers. 1 million unique users in the first 48 hours. That's pretty good, right? That's a lot of people signing in. They even said they had at one point 5,000 people in a queue just trying to sign in all at once, just waiting to get in. So that is why they've had these server issues. You may have noticed this if you've been trying to play it. There's been a lot of server load, and they've been working through that. But the initial burst, probably from things like Game Pass, like I just was able to download it and play it without buying it technically. I know I subscribe to Game Pass, so I'm giving them money anyway, but I think things like that have given people who maybe wouldn't have tried it originally a shot at this game, and maybe they liked it. We played it. It was a lot of fun. I think they still need to add a lot of stuff, but that seems to be one of the good things about Game Pass, is it's going to have probably a player base for a while, even new people joining in constantly, because maybe somebody signs up for Game Pass for Crackdown, and they look over and see Sea of Thieves, and oh, I'll install that too. It's about 16 gigabytes. It's not big or anything. And then you maybe sail the seas that way. You know, that's how you get into it. Fun with friends to play with. It's kind of boring by yourself, to be honest, but it's kind of a neat game for people who wanted a straight-up pirate game that is mostly realistic. Like, there are some some pitfalls there as well, just some modern conveniences of everyday gaming now, but they wanted to make it more realistic, or at least as realistic as they could with the silliness. But hey, good for them. 1 million unique users in the first 48 hours. That's pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is Kirby sales units in media crates in Japan last week. Are you surprised that it did so well in 2 days? Remember, guys, that's Friday and Saturday. It came out on Friday, and it's been doing very well, obviously. So it looks good for Kirby as a part of Nintendo, as a big Nintendo IP that seems to still be pretty steady. Did well in the UK. I'm sure it's still done well in the US. We'll see what MPD ranks it as, but looks good for Kirby. Are you excited? In this case for Ys 8. Ys 8 coming in June 26th. That's not too far away. I think a lot of people are going to jump in. And then what do you think about Travis Strikes Again? What about the Spyro Collection? And then Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Are you annoyed that there might not be a multiplayer, or are you just going to pass because it's campaign? You've already done that. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.